So this is lesson 3. We're going to move on from sampling and just go through the makeup of different types of beat. And to do that, I'm going to minimize my sampler using these little triangles. And I'm going to go to my tool window if it's not already there. And I'm going to drag in the main drum machine. Alright, so 16 little drum pads. And like with the sampler, you have your little folder button there. And I'm actually going to load up a patch this time. So I'm actually going to use one of those files that has all the sounds built in. And I'm going to go to the Reason Factory Sound Bank, a bank of where all the sounds are. There are millions of sounds in these folders. And the thing I'm using is called a Kong, which is the Kong drum designer there. So in the Kong patches, I'll get all my drum kits. And here are kits. And I can go down to the vintage kit and load up a 70s kit. The reason I'm using the 70s one here is because it's kind of a standard drum kit that you'd recognize if you saw a drum kit in real life. When you do that, it creates another line of music for the drum pattern to be written on. And if I just get rid of the tool window here, I've already got the right locator and the left locator on that first bar from doing the sampling. And just for now, I'm going to mute the sampler. So down here, I can mute the sampler. I can also do that on the mixer. My sampler is plugged in here, and I can mute it there if I want. But I'll mute it down here because it's easier. Okay. So now, now my sampler is muted. My music won't make any noise because it's waiting for drums to be drawn on this beat. So here we go. There are 4 beats in a bar, as we hopefully already know. And my drums are now all there. You can see the 4 beats in the bar. I'm going to draw with my pencil. In fact, using the Mac, I can hold Command down to switch it to pencil from the arrow. So when I press Command, I've got a pencil. When I let go of Command, I've got the arrow. So hold Command down and draw my 4 beats. Now you're going to do that to start with on what's known as a closed hi-hat. It's that little, those 2 symbols that come together on the drum kit, and I'm going to draw my 4 beats there. 1, 2, 3, and 4. The reason I've got these little, it automatically divides the bar into 16. I'm going to put it back to 4, so you can definitely see the 4. There are my 4 beats. I'm just going to extend those. There you go. That's the 4 beats in the bar. Now if I divide it into 8, I get those half beats. So what I can do is I can highlight the 4 beats with my arrow, and these little black triangles are where you can control the length of notes. By highlighting them all, I'm shrinking all at the same time. So I drew a box over all of them, and I can now control all at the same time. That's still the 4 beats of the bar. What I can now do is press space to stop, highlight those 4, and Command C and Command V. It doesn't do what I want. So I'm going to highlight the 4 and I'm going to Option drag. I'm holding Option down on the keyboard and I'm going to drag until it goes into the next half beat, and now I've got 8 straight away. So I highlighted all of them, I held Option down, and when I dragged the 4 one across, it filled in the gap. So I've now got 8 half beats. Okay, now there are 2 basic types of popular music. One is an on-beat So if you're doing disco, or you're doing techno, or you're doing any kind of what used to be called happy hardcore music. So there's, again, like I said in the previous video, there's Billie Jean. Billie Jean actually takes the bass kick off the 2nd and 4th beat. And there's your basic 4/4 drum beat. That at different speeds creates different types of music. But like I said, there's another type, there's 2 types of drum beat. There's that one which is on the beat, and then there's the offbeat drum rhythm, which moves that third one to 3.5. So instead of 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's 1, 2, 3.5, and 4. So you've got bass, snare, bass, and snare, with that second bass being on 3.5. And you end up with jungle. You end up with whatever you want to call that, a breakbeat. And you end up with all the different types of hip hop, ranging from 80 up to about 120. Now, the only options you have really is by dividing it into 16. I've got 4 options in each beat now. So every one of my 4 beats is divided by 4, because I've divided the whole bar into 16. I've now got places to put some extra, more interesting notes. So by going to the last quarter of this first beat here, I can create slightly more interesting beats. I'm going to slow down to 100 so you can kind of hear it. So I'm now going to start using the last quarter of each beat. And what these last quarters do is they lead into the next beat. So they keep the beat flowing. And whether you place it on the bass or the snare, it doesn't really matter. There's different things. And they're the ones to play around with to create a kind of your own sort of beat. Now, because if I keep it at 101, which was the speed of my sample, that will now work with my sample. And I can unmute my sampler. And I can start playing with my sample to fill in even more gaps. So that whole recording is now playing in between the gaps. And by mixing the sampler with the loaded drum kit, I'm creating my own kind of sound, because no one will have mixed any particular sample with those drum beats. And that distinctive sound is what you're after if you're going to make a music career and actually get recognised and known for your own kind of sound. And I think that will do for now. You've got your main 2 beats then. So quick summary, 8 half beats, and you're either using, out of those 8, you're either using the first half of each bar to create the beats, the 4/4 beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, or you are moving to the 3.5 to create that more kind of hip-hop sound. To finish with, I will actually just show you that once the Kong has got the beat laid out in a bar, there's nothing to stop you changing the kit. So once you've chosen the 4/4 beat or the off beat 3.5, you can then actually change the kit to get a completely different sound. So if I go to something like a tech house kit, I'll get a completely different sound out of those same beats. Mute the sampler. And I can carry on with my 16s and my last quarters. That might not be the sound that I want the 8s on, so I'm going to move that down. So I can highlight whole sections of notes and move them around to different noises. And very quickly get the very different kind of beats. That will do. And there's a quick lesson, and play around with beats, and those last quarter notes are pretty important. Thanks.